importantly, anybody else wants to talk about?
I think it offers a chance to like specialize. Like
Mhm,
an example I'm thinking of is Boeing and Airbus. Like they only really
mhm,
have their one rival, which is their each other. So they can offer
mhm,
like specialized services or specialized
mhm,
products depending on what the other manufacturer doesn't have, and that could set
mhm.
them apart.
Yeah, I mean, usually, guys, what you can note down is when an industry is in a mature stage, it means there are so many competitors already out there that there's fierce competition. So the market has become a bit saturated. We call it a saturated market. It's quite mature, and there are lots of people now who are playing inside the market in the industry. Uh, Whereas when it's introduction stage, you don't have as many competitors. People are trying to find their ways around the industry and trying to understand. Even the customers are not really knowledgeable about the product, about the industry's offerings, and the industry also doesn't have so many ideas about what to offer, how to offer. So introductory stage is different, and the growth stage, you see an emergence of rivalry. It's not as fierce as you have in the mature stage, but it's a growth, meaning more people. Let's say you are a startup, okay? If you are going into an industry which is in a growth stage, that's the wonderful opportunity for you. That means there is room for growth. There is room for you to play. But it's harder for you, let's say, when it's going into a mature industry and a declining industry, because in that case, you will just need to reduce the prices and cost related maybe moves because people are just doing the cost related adjustments already in those industry types, in those industry cycles, and not necessarily you can maybe find rooms for differentiation and all these things that we will discuss later on. Jahid?
Can you give an example of like both industries, growth
For
and
example, like think about, this like soda, the drinks, beverages. You have big players, correct? You have Coca-Cola, you have Pepsi, you have a lot of others, Mountain Dew. So you have so many varieties. And let's say you want to go into that industry, which is quite mature. I don't think it's declining. I have to check because I'm not an industry expert. But uh, this is for you to check when you study your companies. For example, the industry stages, you should research them. Of course, it's not something that we can just make up. So I'm assuming it's a mature industry. So when you are trying to bring in a beverage that you believe maybe is very healthy, it's very organic, it fits to the like the lifestyle expectations of the millennials and Z generation, but still, I'm not saying there might be huge barriers of entry depending on the cost and value chain you have, but still, you have so many people already preferring certain beverages and drinks and everything that it may not be easy and straightforward for you to single yourself out in that market because there are already people established brands and already established competitors, many offerings out there. Whereas in the growth stage, maybe let's say electric cars, okay? Not everybody is producing electric cars. I'm sure there's a lot of room for growth. Like in the space industry, there's room for growth. But in that case, you don't have too many competitors, but there you probably need a lot of investment to go into that. So that's a different challenge. But from an industry perspective, there are different challenges that you will see. The type of competitors in that industry and their volume, the amount of competitors and their strength, and also the types of barriers that you see in an industry when you try to go there first. So there are lots of things you should be considering besides the, let's say around the five forces. But also like it also depends on how much. That's why people merge with others. That's why people get acquired or acquire other companies. That's why people do joint ventures. That's why people do strategic alliances because not everybody is able to actually. Go into an industry or become a real competitive player in an industry just because they want to. it needs to have certain capabilities. Remember, core competencies the company has. Do you remember what core competencies are that we mentioned? Or did we mention it at all? Maybe I'm confusing with my other class. Did we discuss what core competencies of a corporation might be? And I'm going to upload a article for you on this. I will make sure to upload a famous article by Prahalad and Hamel in Harvard Business Review, and you will be able to read that article. Core competence is mainly the company from the beginning till the end, or let's say throughout its life cycle, the best, the best capabilities that it has. For example, what's the core competence? When I ask you, what's the core competence of Apple? Could you say what's the core competence of Apple might be? What is it, a core competence? It may not necessarily be a product. It could be a line of industry. I mean, it could be a category of business. But let's say the mission of the company is the question, answer to this question, what business are we at, right? What business are we in? So what business are we in? Meaning, who are we? So when you think about Apple, remember my why Simon Sinek video, remember last week? It's about that. Luan?
So when you're talking about Apple and their core competencies, one of the things that I remember was like something that appealed to me from like young was their iMessage and how nothing like I've never seen something like iMessage before. I mean, I wasn't like big on tech and stuff, but it was one of the things that like was able to grab me. So I think that like iPhone and like link between even non-cellular stuff like iPads or iPod touches when I was like younger myself, it helped like throw me in the mix. It was cool.
Thank you. So what is the commonality between Apple's Mac, iPhone, iPod, iPad, and these Air, Mac Air? I don't know what is the latest product that they have. What do you see is common to those products?
It's like an
In
ecosystem.
terms of competencies, in terms of the capabilities, what kind of capabilities are we talking about when we talk about Apple's offers? As I said, with the iPhone, that kind of groundbreaking, that iCloud, yes. So yes, somebody says I. But again, what creates those things? What is a competency that is kind of sustainable? Looks like very sustainable, right? It's sustainable over the ages and decades, and they keep creating and creating. But what's the commonality between those? What do they do really? What are they good at doing? So that's the answer to the question. What are they good at doing? Okay. Yes, branding, but at the same time, there is something about the product offers. They don't offer. If it's branding, why don't they just do grocery stores? They can do branding with that too. I'm sure there are some commonalities between what they do as products that also stems from their core competency. Innovation, technology, technological innovation, possibly. It's a more straightforward answer when you talk about Tesla. It's a more straightforward answer when you talk about McDonald's. But it may not be so easy when a company has so many different offerings, like Berkshire Hathaway. What is their core competency? They have many different businesses, insurance, hotels, real estate, right? So what is the core competency of that company? So I will upload this article for you, and I want you to think about that. Those are not straightforward answers. And usually, if you get to know the industry well, you start to understand the companies a bit more. That's why when you do your company research analyses and the papers, please try to study the industries that they belong to. because the more you understand the industries, the better it is for you to make some analysis and some formulation. Remember, strategic management, analysis, formulation, and then implementation. So we are asking you to do two things, analysis and formulation. In the formulation, you're mainly preparing a recommendation list, and the company has to implement that. So for this class purposes, we don't do an implementation. But what we do is we do analysis, which you're doing with your companies, and you're also helping with formulation in the end. You will be having a set of recommendations based on the analysis that you do. The same thing you start doing with your case analysis. So the better you do analysis with the companies, the better your formulation becomes. And the analysis of the companies should also build on understanding of the industry really well. Okay, and don't expect me to tell you about everything about the industry, because I'm not. I'm as a professor of this course, I'm not an industry expert uh, of maybe a car company or automation or anything. So it's up to you to study the industry and to be able to tell us what is best for the company to do. Okay, so these are important things to consider. Okay, so anything else? Now, so in chapter 2, we covered the external environment. We did talk about SWOTs and political segments and economic forces and global forces. And then we talked about something we call the value net. What do we mean when we say zero-sum game, for example? What do we mean by that? What is a zero-sum game? Yes, Kevin?
There's only one winner and everybody's a loser if you're not the winner.
Yes, so there's always a loser and a winner. So what we want to do in the industry is we want to always have, two people could win at the same time. So you want to do 1 + 1 = 3. So we don't necessarily want to beat somebody else just to wipe them out of the industry. But what could we be doing differently so they still exist and I still exist and we could both thrive? That needs, according to Porter, a different kinds of looking at the industry and looking at competition in the industry. What would be like, think about Netflix and Disney and Hulu channel, and the all these the different types of companies. Okay, I'll come to you, Luis. I'm sorry, I thought you were going to join at 2:30. I was just
Oh
confused
no.
about the time.
Oh, I
It
had
was
three.
3:10.
I
Okay,
had three, and I just looked at my watch and said, "Oh my."
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to bug you. I
It's
just
okay.
was confused because we were together in the morning, and then I was just like, okay, where is Luis? I'm so used to having you. Thank you
No.
so much. So guys, Professor was with us with the company research or about your company research. Please, they do different industries, and maybe they would like to tell you in the chat, or maybe when they participate in this discussion about the industries that they study. But
Yeah, that's
it's
fine.
yours.
Are they in teams that are they in teams
Yes.
that are organized around an industry or a
Yes.
company or
A company. A company.
Okay, so
Yes.
we'll start with company research. Okay, let me share my screen. And where? Yes, here we are. And take this off. Okay. So hello everybody. I'm Professor Klusek, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about doing company research and industry research. I like it if you can talk to me if you have questions. Just can you shout them out? And if I'm going too fast for you, let me know. And if you can't see, let me know. Okay. Just before we start looking at a couple of databases, I just want to talk about navigation from the library homepage. Okay, so typically when you land at the Newman Library, a lot of times, especially for other classes, non-business classes, you can do your search here from this yellow search bar. This is something that CUNY has designed, and it's basically a search engine, and we've put all our books in there and all the articles from the various databases that give you access to scholarly journals and newspapers and magazines, and we also dumped our videos in there. So it's a way to search across all these different sources, or you could say just let me look for books, or let me look for articles or videos separately. The problem for business students is because most of the databases, including the ones I'm going to show you today, are not structured around articles, journal articles. Rather, they have reports, company profiles, industry surveys, data sets, all that kind of stuff. They are not available through the OneSearch platform. So I want you to think about OneSearch not as a search engine, but as a navigation tool. And what we're going to do today is we're going to look at those particular databases. So when you put your cursor here into the box and it says make a choice, you want to come down here to databases and select databases. Okay, let me move your pictures. Also, you can connect from any page in the library website to databases through these tabs that are always here on the right hand side. Okay, I'm gonna bring you up again so I can see your faces. Okay, so how does this page work? This page works two ways. You can come here, and this is the quickest way. This is an alphabetical list of all our databases. So if you write down the names of the ones I'm showing you today, you can come right here and open that database up. We also have a list by subject. And I want to show you this because I'm going to do the highlights today. And we have lots of other databases that cover industries. So you can see here, we've made a list of our databases for all these different business areas, including one that has industry information. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll put the recommended ones at the top and then the others. So you see the extent of the different kinds of databases, the number of databases we have that give you industry information. So I'm going to definitely look at Ibis World, and I'm definitely going to look at S&P Net Advantage, and maybe a couple of them down here that I particularly like and I think are very useful for the BPL project. Okay. Before we leave that, there's also research guides here. These are written by the librarians. There's my picture because I do a lot of these, and you can see here we have guides to doing research on the airline industry. We have guides to doing industry analysis. We have SWOT guides, all this Porter guide. This is the one that I'm going to work off today. It's called Industry Surveys. So here's Ibis World, Net Advantage, Fitch, and probably I'll talk a little bit about Passport. These are the big databases that cover industry surveys. So if you're looking for an industry survey, these are the ones to use. I'm also going to, at the very end, talk about using Factiva, which is really the best database for looking for business news. And then if you need to ask for help, I've listed some of the other industry databases here, and I've given you a link to our live chat service. So this chat service runs 24/7. You can put your name, your Baruch email address here and type your question and start chatting. During the day from about 10 to 8, including Saturday and Sunday, the Baruch librarians are on chat, so you'll probably get to talk to one of us or one of the CUNY librarians. At other times, you'll talk to a librarian at another academic library, another university or college somewhere in the United States. Okay, so that's how you get help. And certainly you can email me if you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the library homepage just to show you the navigation again. Put my cursor here and use the link to databases. And the first database I want to show you is S&P Net Advantage. So let me open this up so you can see it. And here's S&P Net Advantage. And you'll need to log in if you have problems. Go to the help desk. Okay. So this is S&P Net Advantage, and maybe you've heard of Capital IQ. Capital IQ is kind of the financial data platform that comes from S&P, Standard & Poor's. They're the people that do the credit ratings for companies and the S&P 500 indexes. So their big database is Capital IQ. That requires a special username and password. But this database, which has many of the same things that are available in Capital IQ, is networked so that you can get it from our database page. Net Advantage. It covers companies and markets as well. And it does some screening and charting just like you would get in Capital IQ. We're going to use this for doing company research to start. So if somebody would tell me which company they're researching, we can use that as an example. Square. Just spelled like that? Yeah. What kind of company is that? I never heard of it. Okay, found it here, founded 2009. Okay, so it's been around for a while. Okay, so this is what happens. The company, they call this a tear sheet. It's just like a fact sheet, is what appears on the screen. You can download this if you want, but the real value of Net Advantage is, let me see if we can open this up. Okay, come on. Is over here. Well, I seem to have a frozen screen, so I hope you can read this. This is where on the left are the links to all the various pieces of information that are in the Net Advantage database. And when I start researching on a company, I will always come down to the bottom here under the research tab, and it says there is an equity research report. So we're going to open that up if we can. Hopefully something is working on here. Okay, so let me here. What you'll see is the equity research reports from CIFRA, which is the affiliate of S&P that does their research. They'll give you the analyst's name, and typically they're going to be doing these reports every quarter after the earnings are released. So you're going to see the report here. Let's see if we can open it. Okay, and so the report's going to be about 6 pages long. It's going to follow a standardized format. You're going to see that's been here written by the equity analysts. Look at a CFA, so they're credentialed, and that also should tell you something. This is going to be a look at the company through a financial analyst lens. Okay, we're going to talk about some other databases that look at companies and industries in a different way. So just keep that in mind. So the first page is often they're going to tell you their take on the company, whether it's a good investment. They're going to give you financial highlights. They're going to give you several years of data here, including estimates going out for revenue and for earnings per share. Okay. The next page is going to be a one-page description of the company, to give you a corporate overview and business strategy, kind of nice. They usually talk about markets and financial trends. Okay, so easy way to get up to speed on your company. And then another page of data. So 10 years of data from their income statement and balance sheet. So you can see the trends. And then an industry outlook, a page that situates the company in the industry that it operates in, with the list of competitors. These are going to be public companies. And then a page that summarizes the reports that are coming out of CFRA over the last year and some EPS estimates. And that's what I would say would be a really quick way to get your feet wet about understanding the company and through the lens of an equity analyst. Okay, so this is where I would start, and I don't know why my screen is frozen. Okay, so the other things that are on here, some of them are going to be important for you. They do pull out the financials, so you can look at the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. You can manipulate this data like by changing the dates. You can look at the data in standardized format as well. You can export all this into Excel. They do a peer analysis. So they look at a group of the competitors in terms of all these multiples and valuation numbers. This grouping you can manipulate. You can take off the ones you don't want. You can add other companies if you want to use this. Okay. The other thing that is often valuable, I think, is they have a list of events from the corporate timeline. So essentially going back from today through several years of history. Okay, so I like this in the sense that you can quickly get a look and see if something some event out there is one that you want to look at. So if if they're doing an acquisition, or say here, look at this one, M&A rumors down here, these plus signs in front will open up and give you a little summary of what that event is about. Okay. The other thing they do is they'll tell you when the SEC filings were made. So you can see that this company just did their annual report in February 23rd. Okay, so that might be something that you're going to be looking for. They also have the SEC filings here. So if we go down to this section, we can pull up the filing. Let's see if did I open up the right one? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, that's a 10K. Where is it? Okay. And let's have a look. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, this is a strange one. You can't hardly read it. Okay. What I like to do is, you know, a 5-second go through of the important pieces here in the 10K report. One of the things you're going to see is that because this is a regulatory document, what goes in here is mandated by the SEC. Okay, there typically opens up with a table of contents that has the 14 mandated items right here, and then they're going to have some exhibits at the end. But if you are new to reading the 10K report, you want to be a little strategic about how you approach it, and there's two important sections. This one, the opening section, which is the company describing itself, where they operate. They list their subsidiaries here. They talk a little bit about strategy. They're supposed to name their competitors. They often talk about their supply chain. I mean, it is a rather lengthy. So you see here 10, 12 pages on what the company is about. Okay, and then the A section of item 1 is risk factors. So you get the company describing itself, then the company looking at the environment that it works in. So what you might find here is regulatory risk, political risk, economic risk, you know, a good way to situate the company in the environment it works in the industry that it works in. So that's an important section, item 1. The other item that you might find very interesting is 7. And of course, you can't read this very well because of the way this document is presenting itself. But this is called the MD&A. DNA stands for Management Discussion and Analysis. And this is where the company, the management discusses the numbers that follow in item 8, which is the audited financial statement. Okay, so they're going to discuss their financial condition here. That's an important thing for you to understand. And then there is also an A section to this, just like we saw in item 1, and they're going to talk about market risk. Okay, so that is what you want to look at when you're reading the 10K report. If the 10K report is not very current, please make sure that you read the Q. That's the quarterly update. They will update the MD&A section in there, so it's important if you're doing financial analysis to see that data. Okay. That is usually if you want to do charting, they have a wonderful charting system here too, a charting tool. Do you do charting or not? Do you look at prices? Don't know.
I mean, they are supposed to do competitive analysis at some point because they will be analyzing the 5 forces.
Oh, the 5 forces. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So they're gonna like the other database that I'm going to talk about next.
Okay.
Because that has a lot of information about the 5 forces. Okay. Okay. So okay. The last thing that I want to show you before we leave here is that down here in this research section. We looked at the equity research report. That's the company report, but they also have industry surveys. Okay, and these can be 50 to 60 pages. Whoa. Okay, so you see here, they put this company into the report on data processing and outsourced services. They tend to define the industries very broadly to kind of match the indexes that S&P does. And what you're going to see here is that the industry surveys come out every 6 months. And here, look at that, 50, 60, 70 pages. I'm going to try to open this up and see if we can have a look at it. So again, you're going to see this written by their equity analysts, their industry analysts, see the credentials. So they're going to be looking through, again, the kind of lens, financial lens at this industry. They open up with a lot of numbers. And then here in section 9, they do the industry trends. Okay, I wonder if I can get back here. See all the data that they're giving you. The competitive environment here. They do talk about Porter's 5 forces. Lovely. And the operating environment. They will also give you, let me see if I can take this down now. They will also give you a section after they do the survey in the report that will tell you how to find other data, other reports for doing an industry analysis. This is very important information, and you might want to look at that. Okay. They also do a section there on how to analyze a company in the industry, and they talk about the numbers. They talk about gap and how sometimes companies will try to hide the data that you need. So the reports really do 2 things. They do that survey of the industry, and then they talk about how you can find more information, how you can think about analyzing the industry, analyzing the company in the industry. Okay, now not every company that you look at is going to have an industry report. They cover about 50 to 60 industries. So that's why what I want to do is I want to show you another database. I'm just going to close this off, and I'm going to go to our list here, and I'm going to show you a database called Ibis World. Ibis World right here, IBIS World. And this takes more of a market look at the industry. It's not written by financial analysts. The reports are long. Again, they're going to be 50 to 60 pages. But one thing that this database does is it covers many more industries, So they say about 800 industries. The industries that are covered by the NAICS code. I don't know if you've heard of NAICS code. NAICS stands for North American Industry Classification Scheme, and this is kind of a standardized way of defining an industry. It was established by the US government, and the government uses it in their economic census. So when you see government figures saying X number of establishments in this industry, you know, they're collecting that data based on defining the industry with the NAICS code. So this is what Ibis World said, we're going to do every industry that has a NAICS code. And then what happened is they started to add new emerging niche industries that still don't have a NAICS code. So this turns out to be the database that has the most extensive coverage of industries. Okay, so you see what industry should we look at? You can search here. It says by company, by keyword, by industry. I like to show beer because it shows you the difference between the industry surveys and the specialized industries that they're adding. So here is a NAICS code for retail, right? And here is a beer manufacturing, breweries, okay? And then they have specialized craft beer, something new, something niche-y, right? Okay, so you see here, these are your NAICS code, the 5 digits, and here the specialized ones will start with the OD. Okay, some of the specialized ones will be a little shorter, but they're really very good reports. I'm going to open this one just so that you have a look at what's in here. And remember, we saw that S&P in their industry survey covered Porter. These reports also cover lots of aspects of Porter, but they're not. They don't pull them out and say, here's your Porter report. Okay, so you want to make sure you download this report, make sure you look at the date that it was done. But if you come down here, like say to operating conditions, look at capital intensity, that's part of Porter, regulation, part of Porter. There's other pieces of it, I forget where, but here's your supply chain, all this kind of stuff. This is a very nice industry survey. The key piece is here in the industry outlook, but you want to look at the products and markets, competitive landscape, operating conditions. I usually open up this section here on major companies just to show you what they cover in companies. They do not do a lot. They'll give you this 5-year chart of market share with the major players. So this looks like there's only 2 major players in the United States. Sometimes they'll have up to 4 or 5 major players, depending. And then for each of those companies, they'll have a few paragraphs and some financial numbers. Okay. And that's it as far as company information is concerned in here. You notice this, all the charts that are available through the report can be downloaded, and you can use them in your PowerPoint if you want. The other thing to note in here is in this key statistics section, there's some industry data, but the big thing that is unique here is that you can find the industry financial ratios here, and you can download them. These come from the principal source, the RMA, the Risk Management Association. And this is the only place that you can find these online. We have several of the other, we have the RMA books, and we have several of their competitors that do financial ratios, but they are in print and the library is closed. So that is, if you're looking for that, that's here in the Ibis World reports. The other thing to tell you about these reports is we buy the US reports and we buy the global reports. We do not buy China. We do not buy Australia. We do not buy the UK, and they are doing Europe now. We do not buy any of those. Each one is an extra $5,000 to $6,000. Okay, so that's how you would use this. So this opens up with the U.S. and you can look through the search bar. The search bar is pretty good. If you can't find your industry by typing in an industry name, try to type in a company, a big company, because you saw how many companies they put in their reports, and you'll be able to back into it that way, or you can go and look for the NAICS code online at the Department of Commerce. Questions? How you doing? Okay. What I want to talk about next is I'm going to go back to the database page. Is another database that will let you look at your industry through another different lens. And this is a database that's called Fitch Connect. Fitch Connect. This is actually a database, an international database, so it covers industries in the United States and in various other countries. It's a very comprehensive database. It's published by a company called Fitch. So Fitch and Moody's and S&P are the companies that are recognized in the United States to do credit reporting. So that is what Fitch is known for. So this database includes company reports, company credit reports. They also do country reports and industry research, and they look at it. They'll think about writing a credit report. They look at it through a risk analysis lens. So we've already seen S&P with the financial lens. We've seen Ibis World with kind of a market overlook, and this one is going to be different. Okay, it is not intuitive how you search it. So you can go up here. I find their search engine is not the greatest. They're improving it, but if you're looking for an industry report, come up here to sectors, and you see the big sectors that they have, right? So they have information technology, infrastructure, metals and mining. So they have some consumer and retail. Okay, these are defined very broadly, but when you open them up, you can definitely look at subsectors as well. So say if we're going to look at food and drink, okay, they're going to give you everything on food and drink across all countries. So come down here, and where it says food and drink country dashboard, and you want to, let's see if we can get it. Yes, open up the United States of America. And now you're going to be on a page that has all their reports on this industry sector in this country. So you can move through the tabs, look at the reports, look at the analysis, look at their risk index. Typically, they're going to put the current stuff right up here up front. They're going to put different outlooks on some of the sub-industries here. But if you want the major report on this industry in the United States, you want to come over here to the right where it says reports, and you will see the latest report. This company, Fitch, updates their industry reports every quarter. Okay. And then up here, they have what they call analyst choice. And these are Shorter reports, these are about 5, 8, sometimes even just 3 or 4 pages, looking at particular issues. Okay, so you can open up all this analyst choice sector, and then you can search by keyword if you're looking for something specific. So let me just open one of these, and let's see if we can see what this looks like. Okay, so here's your food and drink report, 5-year forecast. Sometimes they actually give you 10-year forecast, so they're very much into measuring risk that way. And so here's what you see. You have a SWOT report, you have the industry forecast, they break out food and drink, information about their risk assessment here, and then a marketing overview. And typically the market overview will try to give you information about the sub industries as well. Competitive landscape, company profile. Again, they're not big on doing company information and demographics, etc. So how many pages was this? 71 pages. 71 pages. Kind of cool. Okay, so that's FISH. Start at the sectors, pick your country, and then you have everything here in one place, and you can pick and choose what you need to look at. Okay. Now, should we look at something else? Anybody working with consumer product industry? Anybody doing food, drink, retail, any of those kinds of industries? What I'm seeing with BPL students now is they're all into the techie stuff. Are you typical or untypical?
Yeah. Do you have anything on a company named Instacart by any chance?
Instacart. And they do what do you call it?
They
Food?
deliver groceries. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of across 2 different pieces of. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you a market research database. Okay.
Yeah. I think market
it's
research.
yeah. Okay. So the 2 big market research databases. One is called Passport, and it comes from a really well-known market research company called Euromonitor. Okay, and that's the one I usually show. But when you're telling me that you're looking for Instacart, I'm saying to myself, I think this might be better in a database called Mintel Academic. So Mintel is another market research company, but instead of being like Passport, which has a group of industries that they cover in depth and they keep updating it, Mintel likes to look at new and emerging industries. So I'm going to, it's spelled INSTACART. Did I spell it C-A? Instacart. Did I spell that right?
No, I think.
No, I left out the A, right?
Yeah.
I can't see very much here. Instacart. Let me see.
Oh no, it's the not Insta. There's no R. There's no.
Yeah, I put an R in. Instacart. Okay. And this database, I love it, has the best search engine. They didn't like Instacart. Why not?
I don't think it's publicly traded yet. That's probably why there's.
Oh my gosh. Why didn't you say that right up front?
Oh, I'm sorry. Was this just publicly traded companies? I thought it was like I thought the database, the Net Advantage was public, but market research for any type of company shouldn't.
Yeah, but you know, they're really almost every database is just really focused on public companies, and if you're going to try to do research on a private company, good luck. They don't have to file financials. They don't have to talk to anybody. Some of them are so secretive that you can't find even news articles on them. And because they're not trading, you're going to find that these databases that follow companies are going to have very little on those companies. Okay.
I think when you
So-
did search it though on the search engine, I did see something come up about curbside expansion for Instacart. I don't know if
Let me
I saw
see.
that on the screen.
Why do I keep putting R instead of? Okay, search. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, wait. How does it, yeah. Okay, so they do have one here. Look at this. When was this done? 2019, not too bad. In-store bakery, that's the only one, it looks like. Oh, here. Oh, they were part of Whole Foods? Is that true?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so
that's
that
Whole Foods.
Okay. So does that make it easier for you? Probably not. If was Whole Foods a public company before it got bought by Amazon? Was it a public company? See, I usually don't talk about this because I think students at the senior level
Yes, it was.
understand a little bit better about how to pick a company that they can research. And one of the things is, if you're looking at a subsidiary of a public company, that's going to be a problem too. Because you're going to want to break out the revenues that are coming from that piece of the bigger company. And guess what? The companies have a lot of discretion in how they report out revenues and other data about their divisions, their subsidiaries, etc. And they tend to report in a way that you cannot say, well, this is all coming from Instacart. Because why? They don't want their competitors to know how much that piece is contributing to their overall revenues, and then become an acquisition target. So just be careful. Pick a big public company. You're going to find lots of stuff. Your research is going to be easier to accomplish. Okay, so they do have some reports here. So have a look. If you want to stay with this, when I was in Net Advantage, did you look up Instacart? Was it covered? Did it have an equity research report? Did it have an industry survey?
No.
Okay, that's going to tell you something about the amount of information that's available.
Yeah, no, they didn't have any.
Okay, they didn't have anything, so you should have said, "Ooh, I'm in trouble already," right? Now, let me tell you about my background, why I'm talking like this. Before I came to Baruch, I worked for Solomon Brothers, Solomon Smith Barney, and Citigroup. Okay, I was with them for almost 20 years. I was a research associate. I was attached to the investment banking unit. Okay, so I was doing research for those investment bankers. Anybody know an investment banker?
I know a
No.
couple.
Well, yeah, they can be pretty pretty pushy. I shouldn't say anything bad about investment bankers, but you know, my job was to do this kind of research for them. They had some databases on their desktop, like Factiva, which I'm going to show you. They use Bloomberg a lot. They had Capital IQ, etc. But we had to research companies, we had to research countries, we had to research industries, you know, for merger acquisition candidates, for expansion of the company, of their client companies into new markets, etc. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so Mintel, very good for market research. Okay, so one of the things they're going to be doing is they're going to be talking about market research, much more information on brands and products, also much more information on the consumer. So when I talked about the financial lens, the risk lens, this is going to be a marketing lens, and that's going to be very different for you. Okay, so let's get out of there. Let's go to the last database that I want to show you, which is Factiva. I can close this off.
Luis, actually, this is, if some students need to leave, I have to let them know.
Okay.
If you know, they could respond to the quick poll about quiz day just now,
Right.
before they, and those of you could stay. I'm here to stay to listen
Okay.
to for. And those of you who need to leave, please respond to the poll and also write library on the chat.
Okay. So we're going to look at Factiva, which is a news database. I actually have, there is actually a tutorial on this. So if you have to leave, you can go and look at the tutorial. We'll tell you how to search it. It's on our research guide page. Please don't everybody try to sign in, because this is a database that we buy seats on. We buy 15 simultaneous users. So we don't, like most of our databases, we buy unlimited seats. Everybody can sign on. We can have 100 people on if we want, but okay, so this is what Factiva looks like. It's published by Dow Jones, which is a company that publishes the Wall Street Journal. Okay, it has a free text search box. I would recommend you stay away from this, because this will there are over 10,000 sources in here. This is an international database. If you don't like searching in English, there's 20 other languages you can search in. You just click this open and pick a different language. This section here is what's called index searching, and you can search by your company. Okay, so you could pick Tesla, and you'll get matching companies. You pick the one that is your target and you put that in there, and then you can pick a time period. So everything for, let's look at 6 months. Okay, that's your search. Or you can say, let me just see what the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times is writing about Tesla in the last 6 months. Okay, let me move everybody again. Okay, so because the search button is over here. Okay, and then let's okay, we can do this. Okay, so even in the Wall Street Journal, we got 211 stories on Tesla lots of coverage on this company. This results page opens up with 2 screens. If you click on the title, you can read it online here. Okay, I'm just going to take that off. And the other thing you can do is you can browse through the titles and you can click